What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we have another 2025 NFL mock draft. Quite a bit has changed since my last video. Uh, Patriots fall from 1 to 4. It's pretty massive. It's maybe the biggest thing at the top. The Titans take the 1 pick, and we're just going to get straight into it. At number 1 overall, I've got the Titans going Cam Ward. Uh, you know, Relatively easy pick for me. I think, I have moved him back up over Shedeur Sanders. I value the arm strength and the playmaking ability over the accuracy and the weaker arm. I will say, Shador is pretty resilient. He gets sacked like 100 times or something, and it is like genuinely like 100 times, or 99 or something like that. And he keeps playing, but to be honest, like it's kind of his fault that he takes a lot of sacks. He holds onto the ball far too long. I think Cam Ward is probably the better player. Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns. For me, I'm actually not going to go quarterback here. I'm going to go with Travis Hunter out of Colorado. Probably the best player in the entire draft, just because of his versatility. He's not my number one player in the draft, but I am aware that a lot of people have him as the consensus one. He's obviously going to improve that offense right away, giving your team another playmaker, and can potentially come in on defense and be like a CB2. He's not going to be relied on to make all the plays in the secondary. Obviously, with Denzel Ward, I think he can really thrive in Cleveland. To be honest with you, and I think his style of play really suits the AFC North. So I like this pick. And we're going to move on to New York, who I have taken Shedeur Sanders here. Now, to be honest, I don't actually even know if Shedeur Sanders is my quarterback too. It might be Jackson Dart, which is kind of weird to maybe hear for some people, but I'm a big fan of Jackson Dart, and I'm not really a big fan of Shedeur Sanders, but it is what it is. He's obviously going to be pretty accurate, and he's going to be able to get back up when he takes hits. I mean, that's the kind of resilience you want. The New York market is going to be kind of favorable for him, obviously, and then you're going to have Malik Neighbors. I mean, you're not in a awful position, to be honest with you. If you get a quarterback in there, and you're hoping that he can sit in, find the passes, and deliver consistently, and that's been a big struggle for New York in terms of quarterback play as of late. But that's what you want from Shedeur. Next up, we got the Pats at number 4. This is my number 1 player in the draft. It's Abdul Carter for out of Penn State. So, for the Patriots' point of view, you're trying to address the offensive line and the receiving core and the free agency. You go out and you get one of the most valuable positions in the game in the draft. So now you have 3 star players on rookie contracts in Drake May, Christian Gonzalez, and Abdul Carter. And you're starting to build a very, very good core with Vrabel there, with Josh McDaniels there. You're really starting to put something together. And, similar story for a lot of the teams down here, I don't think are in an awful spot. Obviously, they're bad at football. That's why they're down here. But there's a lot of teams that I think are actually not that awful. I don't think the Giants are that terrible. I don't think the Browns are that terrible. If the Titans get decent quarterback play, they're not that bad either. Similarly with the Raiders, the Panthers are really starting to put things together. They might be, at the back end of the season, one of the better or more annoying teams to play in football. So a lot of the teams down here are not awful. There's a lot of things to look forward to in the future. The NFL is becoming younger, stronger, faster, and the teams at the bottom that are picking up this talent can turn things around very quickly. So, if you're a fan of one of the teams down here, do not panic right away. But Abdul Carter, getting back to him, unbelievable player. When he played against Notre Dame, his right shoulder was really messed up. He missed almost the entire Boise State game. He still picks up a sack with only one arm working. I mean, it's ridiculous. And really, he got another sack that, was called back because of a defensive holding down the field. But, I mean, the amount of pressure he put on Riley Leonard in that game was ridiculous. He is my best player in the class. I think he will be the best player in this class when you look 10 years down the road. I think he is a generational prospect potentially. I mean, obviously the comp is you look at Micah Parsons, but I think he genuinely is, if not maybe even a better prospect, considering he's still raw to the position as well, or new to the position. Next up at Jacksonville Jaguars, we've got at number 5. I'm going to go with Will Johnson here. We're going to bolster the secondary. Could potentially see maybe a Mason Graham come in, but I like just helping out the secondary. You already kind of have a pretty good, defensive line for the most part with Trayvon Walker. I mean, maybe not like a great line, but you have a good player in Trayvon Walker who's, been written down as a number 1 overall pick bust. He's not like a bust necessarily. He's put together back-to-back 10-sack seasons, but obviously Hutchinson is better behind him, so it makes the pick look worse, to be fair. At number 6, we've got the Raiders. I'm going to go Ashton Genty. I really like this pick. This is one that I actually haven't really come off for the past like month and a half or whatever. I really do like Ashton Genty to the Raiders. It's another team. They're not that bad as long as they can get a quarterback. And with both quarterbacks off the board here, I think you're probably, both of the consensus top 2 are, you're probably waiting for, either late first trade up or second round. And most likely the latter. So next up, we've got the Jets. For me, this is going to be Mason Graham. I think you're just trying to bolster that defensive line, get more help in stopping the run game. He's going to pair up nicely as a, second string. Well, not really second string. They'll probably both be on the field at the same time, but to Quinnen Williams. So big help there for the Jets. I could also see them potentially going Malachi Starks if you're looking for a safety. Although maybe a Nick even Worry in round 2 would be better. Maybe could see them going Tet, but you never really know what's going to happen there with Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, that changes a ton if he leaves. Like if he leaves them, they're in a bit of a pickle right now because they're not really in quarterback striking range unless they were to trade up. And I don't think the Giants would trade down. Maybe the Browns or the Titans would, but it costs a lot to move up to that top 2. Next up, we've got the Panthers. For me, after Mason Graham, Abdul Carter, all these guys come off the board, Will Johnson, I think the easiest pick is probably Teto McMillan. Now, of course, I wouldn't mind going edge here. Maybe you want to go with a Mike Green, Michael Williams, get those freak athletes off the edge. Even James Pierce obviously is a good athlete, but I think he's maybe a little light. I'm a big fan of him. Maybe a touch lighter than what you'd be looking for the Panthers, but you never know. But I think probably Teto McMillan is the pick here. Just get your young quarterback who's showing unbelievable strides or taking unbelievable strides. Get your young quarterback in Bryce Young, a big, big weapon. Now, I don't think, to be honest, he's the best receiver in this draft. I think it's probably, Travis Hunter and Luther Burden just over him. But, saying that for this situation, I think I like Teto McMillan more. You have Leggett on one side, Teto McMillan on the other, and now you have 2 big weapons for your quarterback in Bryce Young, who's, learned to trust his offensive line a little bit more, has settled into the NFL. But in a team like the Panthers, sometimes you just need a bailout throw. And when you can chuck the ball 20 yards downfield to a 6'5" receiver with a ridiculous catch radius, I think that's a pretty good pick for the Panthers. Next up, we've got the Saints. I think this is going to be defensive line for me. I'm looking for a pretty athletic guy. I'm going to go with Michael Williams out of Georgia. I don't think he is, at this point, he would be the second edge rusher taken off the board. Do I think he's, edge 2 in this draft? To be honest, no, I don't. Do I think his athleticism and, his potential combine results could push him to that, top 10 range? 100%. And does he have one of the best potentials in this draft? 100%. This is a great edge class. And, being a fantastic athlete can help you push above the rest of the pack. So I love Michael Williams here to the Saints. Could have been another option potentially for the Panthers as well. I believe I mentioned that. Next up, we've got the Bears. Now, this is maybe a Genty spot, obviously if he was still on the board, but he's not. I'm going to look to go with Will Campbell out of LSU. I don't, maybe I don't even know if this is a hot take at this point, to be honest with you, but I don't have him as my tackle 1 or, to be honest, even close to it. He's my number 5 behind. I'll, get the little list up. right here. I have him behind Simmons, Banks, Membu, and Connerly. All right, perfect. Yeah, the next four right there. But however, as an interior offensive lineman, I think he could be generational. Like not just the best in this draft, but I think generational. Almost an all-pro guard right away. Now, obviously, you're going to try him at tackle. Could he be a Hall of Fame tackle? Who knows? Maybe he could. Maybe he won't be. I don't think he's anywhere near as close to a surefire, elite prospect as a Joe Alt was last year. But Will Campbell's a great player. If you hear him speak, he loves football. If you really, he's one of those guys where you can just tell, like, wow, this guy loves himself some football. He knows everything you got to know to be an offensive lineman. I don't know how to explain it. Just listen to his mentality. If you hear some of his interviews, it's like there's a clip going around a while ago, and it's like just wow. But yeah, I think he'll be a great interior guy, but that's not to say you can't test him on the tackle first, obviously. Next up, we have the Niners. For me, I could see edge here, or I could also see tackle, or guard would develop into a tackle potentially. I don't mind Kelvin Banks here at all. I don't mind Josh Connerly. I'm a big Armand Membu guy. He's one of my best, if not the best tackle in the draft for me, which maybe is a little bit of a hot take, but I don't really care. Anyways, I'm going to go with Kelvin Banks. I think he can play inside at guard right away, and then in the future, potentially learn from, while he's at guard, can learn from a Trent Williams at left tackle, and then when he moves on, whether it's retiring or moving to another team, he can fill in at that left tackle spot and be your franchise left tackle. Cowboys at number 12. Obviously this is the perfect Genty spot, but he's not here. I think this is a pretty easy Luther Burden for me. Now we can obviously look around a little bit. Could you potentially build more in the offensive line? Like maybe. Could you look running back? I think yes. I think you definitely could look running back. I think a touch early for an Amarian Hampton, but he's a very good back. Not so far off Genty. It's just the problem is this running back class, or it's not a problem, but it's a problem for these players. Is running back class is so deep that Genty might end up being the only first on run running back. Not only because of quality. Well, I mean, he would obviously go first round because of quality, but the rest of these backs are first, second round talents that are going to fall to, second, third, fourth round because of how many good players there are. Like, because you can get a Devin Neal in round 3, late round 2 or round 3, Amarian and Hampton wouldn't have as much value in the first just because you can fall back. You have more fallback options later. But either way, it's a lot of talk to just go Luther Burden, but just had to throw out situation there. Dolphins up next. I'm going to go Malachi Starks. They're probably losing Javon Holland. It's a pretty, easy replacement. You get a young elite safety on a rookie contract. That way you can let, Holland walk, which I know is kind of hard, but, is what it is. You don't really have the money for it. Next up, we've got the Colts. This is probably a Tyler Warren pick. Pretty simple, to be honest with you. There's not a lot of thought that needs to go into it. You have a power run scheme there with Anthony Richardson. This is a tight end that can get dirty, get in the blocks in the run game. Powerful, strong, and obviously for any quarterback, but specifically Richardson. I mean, having just an easy option there, underneath or in like in a little in between zones or whatever. Like this is just a great player to have. I love tight ends, man. They're just awesome. Next up, we've got Atlanta. I think this is where James Pierce stops the fall and he goes at number 15. Obviously super explosive, similar player to Abdul Carter. Maybe not quite as strong, obviously, but, great athlete. Really a lot of burst coming off the line for James Pierce out of Tennessee. And, there he goes at 15. Next up at 16, I think this could be a Mike Green spot. It could also be a Derek Harmon spot. I'm going to go with Derek Harmon on the interior. For me, he's probably my DT2. He's my second guy there on the interior. He's pretty low on this big board for whatever reason, but big fan of Derek Harmon. He clearly improved in the pass game this season. Lost a little bit of weight, and was able to really be more explosive and break the line and get to the quarterback. He lost a little bit of effectiveness getting to in stopping the run while doing that. But I mean, to be fair, it's almost like sometimes he's such a good athlete. Like, he can get to the backfield, but he'll just get kind of juked out. It's like he's not used to being there so quick, and so sometimes it can backfire. But either way, I have him going there at 16 to the Cards, who need a little bit of help on the defensive line. Next up, we have Cincy. I think this is probably also interior on the defensive line, and I'm just going to go and get Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. Another guy out of Michigan, obviously. To be honest, I would have hoped Michigan were more effective, considering the talent they have on the defensive line. However, they were still good. It's just maybe I was hoping for a little bit more than I should have. But, when you have Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham next to each other, I want one of them to really thrive. Mason Graham did, but maybe not to the next level. Either way, Kenneth Grant is a big reason for why Mason Graham was able to do so well throughout his career at Michigan at the back end. So that's what we're going to do. 17, Kenneth Grant. Next up, we have the Seahawks. This is definitely going to be Mike Green. I mean, he's fallen maybe a little bit too far, which is crazy to say for an edge rusher out of Marshall. But I mean, he is genuinely elite. I mean, he is I think he's technically a redshirt sophomore, although he's not really. But he's not really. He's he was at Virginia and he transferred, and either way, he's 21 or something like that. So, great edge rusher. Seahawks need someone that can be killer off the edge. This is a guy that can do that. Next up, we've got Tampa. This is going to be Jaylen Walker here for me. He seems to have fallen down this board a lot. Fell down my board a little bit as well. But to be honest, he's still a great player. Is he elite at off-ball linebacker? No. Is he elite at edge rusher? No. But is he very good at both? I'd say yes. He's definitely a pretty good linebacker, and I'd say he's a very good edge rusher. With a little bit of development, obviously, that's how the draft works. He's going to be very, very good. And at 19, I mean, he's fallen a little bit too far for me. Next up, we have the Broncos, and I am looking at Emeka Egbuka, and it's kind of hard to, look away, to be honest with you. I mean, he's kind of the perfect receiver there. It's just, another guy you can help out your quarterback in Bo Nix with. You have probably the best offensive line in football. You have a great receiver one, Cortland Sutton. Let's get that receiver two. Emeka Egbuka has pretty much been receiver two his entire career, as far as college. And he's been great. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, he's never had to really be that one. Marvin Harrison was there. Jackson Smith and Jigba was there. Now Jeremiah Smith is there. He's never really been the one, but he's been consistently a great two and a great option. Has a lot of experience and can definitely help out Bo Nix. Next up, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think you can look tackle here. I think you can look defensive back in the corner position. Benjamin Morrison's still here. I know he has injuries, but this is probably a little bit too far. So we're going to snatch him up. This is for, Steelers fans here. I mean, you're getting a genuinely elite corner here in Benjamin Morrison when healthy. Obviously, you can look to improve the interior. I think you can still look to, obviously get receiver, maybe some tackle depth, but, obviously wouldn't be, depth first round. They'd be a starter or, somewhere on that line. But Benjamin Morrison at this point has fallen too far. You just have to pick him. When you're in any need at all whatsoever of corner, and this guy's sitting here, you have to go. Obviously, the interior could be worked on as well, potentially with, a Tyleek Williams. could have been a good pick, to be fair. The more I look at it, but maybe I was a little impulsive, but also, I mean, he's just such a good player. He can't fall this far. This is a almost guaranteed top 10 pick in the draft if he stayed healthy, maybe even higher. Next up, we've got the Chargers. Probably edge again for me. Although you can look maybe Colston Loveland's way, or potentially a running back. I wouldn't, to be honest. I think edge is more important, obviously, and you know getting kind of a strong guy here could be pretty helpful for that hardball system. I'm gonna go with Shamar Stewart. He can sit more on the inside and the outside of the defensive line. He can play almost anywhere on there. He's very versatile in that way. Would be a fantastic hardball player, man. The more I think about it, I mean, my favorite fit for the Chargers in the whole draft is Tyler Warren, the tight end of the Penn State. However, he's obviously gone. So looking to Shamar Stewart is not bad. He's so young. He's got a lot of room. Oh my God, he has lots of room to grow. But yeah, I mean, great pick for the Chargers there. Next up, we've got Green Bay. I think it doesn't even hurt. It doesn't hurt to look tackle here. Maybe you push Jordan Morgan inside, and if you don't, you get a great guard here. Not bad at all. Could look receiver. I do not mind. Matthew Golden, obviously. I like Savion Williams, his athleticism. Jalen Royals screams Green Bay, actually. Now, the more I even just say that name, Jalen Royals screams Green Bay in round 2 or 3, by the way. Screams Green Bay. Obviously, this is only one round, but that is something I might do in the future. Either way, we are going to go with corner. We're looking for another outside shutdown corner. And I'm going to go with Savone Revel. How this is pronounced Savone, I will never understand. But it is what it is. Tall, lockdown corner. Had an ACL injury this year, obviously. Another one of those guys that could have gone way higher. Now, I know it might be a little scary going with, a guy coming off an injury, but just he's going to be a very, very good corner when he's on the field. Next up, we've got the Vikings. Now, the Vikings probably also look to go corner, to be honest with you. I wouldn't mind going corner. Wouldn't mind going on the offensive line. Either one could work. I'm a big fan of Tyler Booker. Could see him really, there's a lot of good players left on this line, though. They're starting to slip maybe a little bit too far. So do you have to snatch one up? Well, let's have another look at the corner room here. Jade Barron is still here. Trey Amos is still here. Maybe Trey Amos. And then Azariah Thomas is still here. And that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with Azariah Thomas. Elite shutdown ability. He gets rarely even. Florida State were awful this year. He was not really a big part of that. He was locked down. Not many players threw. Not many quarterbacks threw his way. Minnesota gets a good one there, and Azariah Thomas. Next up, we've got the Texans, and this is just where one of these linemen have got to go, and I am going to go with Josh Connerly. He can bump inside to guard, obviously. He can play out at right tackle or potentially in the future at left tackle, but he can play almost anywhere on that line, actually. I'd keep him at guard at first, but if you ever need help at tackle, he can play there. Then we've got the Rams up next. This could easily be corner. I also don't mind tackle. And to be honest, I might have a little bit of a run of tackles here. We're going to go Josh Simmons to the Rams. This is another guy who, without the injury, maybe is a top 10 pick in the entire draft. He's one of those elite tackles who he got unlucky with an injury. Got very unlucky with an injury. Next up is Baltimore. For me, I think this is probably an edge rusher. I think you want more off the edge. The question is, has Nick Scourton fallen too far? I think he maybe has. However, you still have Jack Sawyer, who while he isn't the best athlete, obviously, he has great hands. He's going to be stout in the run game. And he gets production, man. I mean, no matter what you think of the guy, he gets sacks. He gets, he had a touchdown the other day. I mean, he's a very good player. Maybe you look for a Jack Sawyer who just, sometimes you need a guy he feels inevitable. And Jack Sawyer, when you're watching him, at least for Ohio State, just feels inevitable. And that's what I'm going to do. We're going to go Jack Sawyer to try to generate pressure off the edge. Next up, we have the Lions. Heartbreak for them. And, they did not really deserve to go through, to be honest. The Commanders were fantastic. Jaden Daniels looks truly special. And they just could not really get to the quarterback. They just really couldn't. Obviously they have injuries defensively. They couldn't. I mean, they're getting sliced apart. But a guy like Nick Scourton, who, yes, had a down year, but is still very, productive throughout his collegiate career, at Purdue. I think he has to go here. I think he's fallen way too far. Next up, we have the Commanders. I think this could have also potentially been edge, although I don't really mind receiver at all. And if you can get like a Matthew Golden to pair up with Terry McLaurin, oh my God, that would be beautiful on the inside. However, I could also see an Armand Membu to protect Jaden Daniels. He's a crazy athlete. When you want to protect a mobile quarterback, you go with mobile, athletic, offensive linemen. So that's what I'm going to do. Armand Membu, he's actually my tackle one in the entire draft. I know that, it's not the consensus thing, and he wasn't the first tackle taken off the board in this mock. He stands at, 6'3", but has incredibly long arms. And if it doesn't work out at tackle, he can just push inside to guard, I think, without any concern at all. Next up, we've got Buffalo. And, they're obviously going interior here for me, and they have a plethora of talent to choose from. This mock, just for whatever reason, just didn't really go with defensive interiors very often. I think it could easily be, could have gone to, maybe the Packers or the Steelers. That's usually where they go in these mocks, and it just didn't happen in this one. Tyleik Williams, Walter Nolan, TJ Sanders, Omar Norman a lot. I mean, these are all great options. Alfred Collins, Deion Walker even could potentially be value in maybe the early second round, but, Tyleik Williams is for sure a first rounder in my opinion, and he goes here to Buffalo. Next up, we've got Philly. Philly, again, is just another kind of tricky team to draft for because they are such a good team. But I went with this pick, I believe, last time in Colston Loveland. I think that's one of the rare positions that, obviously Goddard is getting older, and you never know what happens with injuries and, as, time goes on. So we're going with Colston Loveland there. And I mean, the team just gets scarier and scarier. I mean, they're legitimately unbelievable. I could see potentially edge depth as well, but maybe not here. And then finally, last, hopefully not last, please, Buffalo, do anything against them. But either way, Chiefs up next. Sorry, Chiefs fans, but it is what it is. I think you're probably looking to address tackle. There's not like a ton here, in all honesty. I wouldn't mind Wyatt Milam, but he probably slides inside. Same with Ariante Ursery. I could see Cam Williams, but he's just another developmental tackle. Like maybe you don't even want that, to be honest. And then you could also look maybe receiving core or even running back. Isn't the worst option in the world. But you know what? I'm just going to go screw it. Let's get some experience, some high-quality play, and Wyatt Milam there for West Virginia. And there goes the mock draft. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and comment down below. See you guys next time.